crazier than all the flesh eating and the giving up that I thought was the fact that Lionel's like picking up chicks and he's scoring dates. Like, are you kidding me, man? Here I am in my life trying and I can't for the life of me get a date. This guy is just complete wacko and he's got like a woman inviting him to dinner and taking him out. Like, how is this happening?
I know Liv would be astonished just to see this many people in one room for her.
Hey, buddy, can I get you a drink?
Who are you?
Lionel Flagg, the man of many talents.
All that weight you're carrying? What if I said I could take it all away? So what are you saying? Consensual human consumption.
So, you want to eat me?
That is exactly what I'm saying.
Hey, fellas, how's it going?
Good, man. How are you?
Doing okay. Thanks for the patience. I had another interview run overtime, so
that's all good.
another scary movie, Pray to the Devil. So everything's scary these days.
That's what you want.
Exactly. Man, where are you guys at?
UK. We're those guys are in London. I'm near Oxford.
Okay, so it's dinner time for you. Past it, actually. Well,
past that, it's nearly 11.
Yeah, way
nearly
past.
11.
It's late at night, actually. What am I telling you? For me, it's like I eat at crazy times for me. So dinner sometimes at 10 p.m. anyway, but
yeah.
Same for us, man.
I can imagine working on stuff. Man, what the hell did I watch here? Because I am trying to process this, man. There's a lot, like, you know what throws me off the most? Like, inspired by true events. As I'm watching this, every minute I'm thinking, how and why? You know what I mean? Like, that was my thought. Or if this was like not inspired by true events, just like, okay, this is gonna be bonkers, this is gonna be insane. But I'm like, wait, what? You know, this has merit of truth to it somewhere. How did you guys come across this?
Well, the most bizarre thing of the film is inspired by the true events of the Armin Muse case. That the cannibal that got another guy to willingly sign a contract that confirmed that he would allow him to eat him, and it was that story that we were like, that's so bizarre in itself that we should make our next movie like inspired by that. So whilst the movie itself is entirely fictional, it is inspired. The craziest part of our movie, where Jed gives up his body for Lionel to eat him, is inspired by the Armin Muse case, which is just ridiculous.
So this guy was eating like actual human flesh and like enjoying it, like that was his thing.
Yeah.
Oh man. You hear Army Hammer sending texts about this stuff. I didn't know it was actually happening. Like people were getting down to it. It's insane. It's absolutely crazy. That's like real life horror. Like we hear about like the scary, you know, classic horror people. Like this kind of stuff is like next level.
Yeah, that's absolutely mental. And like what I still can't get my head into the mindset of going, oh, getting eaten, that sounds like a good idea. I'm going to die from it, but it sounds like fun. Yeah, sign me up. What, like, where does that come from? And then the idea of it becoming like a buddy movie, like from that was just so engaging and just like, yeah, this sounds like too good to be true story, but it is true.
Who's crazier, the one that's allowing himself to be mutilated or the one that's eating? You know what I mean? Like who's here like more mental in that case? Like is there a weight that you put on who's crazier in this scenario?
Well, that's it, man. That's the interesting part that I guess the whole mental health side of it comes into it, because underneath the surface, you know, there are two extremely damaged people underneath the batshit craziness, the comedy or whatever. There's an underlying seriousness to the tone that we really wanted to explore as filmmakers and stuff. But at the same time, Rich and I both have this shared ridiculous sense of humor that you know, we find funny at least, and it was this film where we both decided as a duo, let's make the film that we want to make first and foremost, and stay true to ourselves. And that's what we did. This is the shit we came up with.
You literally did. I mean, you're owning it 100% of the way. I love that. You know, I mean, you guys went for it and no apologies, just straight up. I like that. I like the boldness of it. Just like the hell with it. If we're going to go with it, we're going to go all the way.
Yeah, well, totally. But like again, the true part is so balmy that the only way we thought that we could convince an audience that that would happen is to make it ridiculous.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like we felt like that's the only way we could go with this, was to make the whole film ridiculous, and then you can buy into it, because that was the hardest bit when we were writing the stories. How do we convince an audience that someone would go for this? But that actually happened. That's the bit that's true. Like, it's so, yeah, it's backwards.
It's crazy. It's literally, you know what, crazier than all the flesh eating and the giving up that I thought was the fact that Lionel's like picking up chicks and he's scoring dates. Like, are you kidding me, man? Here I am in my life trying, and I can't for the life of me get a date. This guy is just complete wacko, and he's got like a woman inviting him to dinner and taking him out. Like, how is this happening?
But, you know, they're always charming, man. You know, look, you know.
Yeah, I guess.
Ted Bundy picked up loads of women. Jeff Dahmer picked up loads of guys. They were all charming. Everyone loved them. And then, bam, you get eaten.
Man.
But then the other thing is, how many like true fans of these people are there? Like, you get people like Dahmer, when women know who they are, it's even after they know, that are fascinated, and they go and marry them in prison and stuff. So there seems to be this thing that's incredibly fascinating about real wackos, and then they go, oh, why can't I find a good man?
Stop writing to jails, maybe. Don't be sending letters to prison.
It was really, really hard when Jeff Dahmer and I divorced, actually, because you know, it was tough. No, but like it's true, man. Like but it is fascinating. It's extremely fascinating. The whole you know, but personally, like, I've spent so many years like just fascinated with all these serial killer documentaries and looking into the mind of someone so incredibly messed up and twisted and lacks empathy, but is so good at integrating with society and making people think there's something else with I don't know, they're the best actors in the world, I guess.
No question.
You know,
No question. I agree with that part for sure. You know, and we're talking about this, like this character in this movie, the Lionel, but you're talking about these serial killers. Like, I don't think they've ever been as popular in a crazy way as now. We have documentaries on Netflix like every day. There's that Dahmer series that just came out. It's like super popular. Like, we as a society are the ones that are fascinated with watching this, and I guess we want to see more. The demands for it, that these stories, these documentaries, these shows are being made about them. Like, these are the most popular shows, I feel like, now. These mini series and limited series, all the major streamers are doing, basically, instead of like a regular series, they're doing like these documentaries on these, you know, wild, crazy people that they're turning into mini series that are super successful.
they're interesting, man. They're interesting people. It's fascinating.
It must be. I mean, it really transcends that line. And I like how basically you guys formed a relationship between these two, which is like, tells me a lot about them too, these characters, you know, I mean, and what mental state and different ends of the spectrum they are. One's grieving, you know, and one's got an obsession over the flesh, you know, and it's weird how they almost bond on two different completely issues that bother them.
100%.
Yeah, totally. And that was what, you know, we found interesting. It was one of the first parts that we set out to write, was how do we bond these two people? And that was the really interesting part of the story. It was, you know, it's even further than like Stockholm syndrome, where people fall in love with their kidnapper. It's falling in love with your murderer. Do you know what I mean? In that way, or do you know what I mean? And that's such a bizarre thing in itself, but they're both lost in their own way, and they find some form of retribution in each other, and with, you know, they kind of heal each other in a way. Do you know what I mean? And that's what we wanted to have with this arc that flows, and they kind of cross over and then almost go to the opposite side of the spectrum, each of them. Do you know what I mean? So that was something that we wanted to do with their arcs, is they start at very polar opposite places, and then they kind of cross over and end up both on the opposite side. Like, and yeah, that's what we wanted to push, and that's what we found really interesting with the story and the arc, and that, you know, that Lionel has more depth than just being a flesh-eating cannibal monster. You learn more about him, and you know, if we've succeeded, you even feel sorry for him at parts. Do you know what I mean? So
yeah, because the damage there too, you know what I mean, what it drives someone to, yeah, I think there's that element to it that comes through for sure. You know, it's like at some point you're like, oh, what started all this? You know, there had to have been something tragic and traumatic to get you to that sort of point. And, you know, credit here to the actors. I mean, talking about Neil and Christopher, they went for it, man. They completely committed to these characters, which really adds to the element of like when you're watching, like, okay, they're going for it all the way too.
Oh man, they went above and beyond. All of them, you know, it was incredible to see that, to see them build those characters to both separately and together, and the homework that they did, and the discussions that we all had together and stuff. It was really refreshing to see not only them, but the rest of the cast, you know, Nadia Lamin, Anto Sharp, Samantha Loxley, Hannah Al-Rashid, all of them, like they all, even, you know, certain individuals weren't interacting with, certain actors weren't interacting with other actors, but together as an overall cast of only 7 people,
yeah,
they were all just so, or sorry, 5 or 6, they were all just the perfect cast that made, for us, made this movie just what it is. They make the film, man. You know, they really brought it to life. They turned that script into, you know, they took it off the page, man. They really went above and beyond.
Yeah, you can tell, you know, that sort of, it was a commitment from everyone. The crew, the filmmakers, and the actors had to be on board. Everyone had to go the length, you know, here and to deliver this sort of story. Before I let you guys go, anything that you guys were pretty good at keeping in everything there, I'd imagine, but what sort of things did you keep out of the movie that you maybe look back like, oh, I wish I had the time to do it? Because, you know, there's obviously cutting room constraints, but anything maybe left on a cutting room floor that you wanted to put in, or you were glad what you got in everything?
there's quite a lot that was left on the cutting room floor, but maybe not so much that we wished was in the film. It was cut for certain reasons, like the original cut was 2.5 hours long, so we cut an hour out of the film, and I think most of it for good reason. There was a couple of things. There was like you said about Lionel's dating. There was some more to that of him failing to find women and then finally finding someone. And then there's a couple of bits where actually Jed met Lionel earlier in a dry cleaners, which was quite a funny scene, but it kind of felt a bit like it didn't get to the point quick enough, so we ended up removing that.
Interesting. I also like asking this question too, and since you guys are the filmmakers here, any alternate endings that you had, or was this the ending you guys were going for all along? I always find fascinating because you learn a lot of things, like when you set out to an ending. Was this what you guys wanted to do all along, or is there maybe some negotiation about different things happening along the way, or an alternate kind of end to it?
It was always the planned ending for sure.
Okay.
But that's not to say, if who knows, man, maybe there's room for a sequel. If the world wants more of Lionel Flack, who knows, maybe we can pull something out the bag of flesh.
Well said. That's what I mean. There's always potential here, open-ended enough where there could be a start of something here. For
sure, man, for sure.
Man, you guys, I admire the guts, no pun intended, and what you guys went for here. And wow, it's amazing that you brought to light that this stuff, you kind of hear about it, but you never know they're actually based on truth, and there's things that inspire stuff like that. So heck of a job. And here in the US, we're in Halloween season. This is the kind of movie that is right up the alley for this time of year.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you, Jim.
Good work, fellas, and then keep on doing more stuff. I'll be looking forward to seeing what's next from you guys.
Oh, wait. Just you wait.
Hey, I'm ready for anything at this point now. After this,
good.
That's great. Yeah.
Hey, thanks for staying up, boys, and talking to me. Let's do this again.
Definitely.
Hey, take care. Cheers.
This is